On January 11, 2013, the quiet town of Valdosta, Georgia, became the center of a mystery that would capture national attention and defy easy answers for over a decade. Inside the gymnasium of Lowndes High School, a 17-year-old student was found dead. His body was discovered in the most bizarre and disturbingly imaginable way. Upside down and rolled up inside a wrestling mat. Authorities quickly ruled the death of Kendrick Johnson a tragic freak accident. But when his family, tormented by doubt, hired a private pathologist to find the truth, they uncovered a detail so grotesque it sounded like it was pulled from a horror film. The pathologist discovered that Kendrick's internal organs had been removed and his body had been stuffed with newspaper. This single, horrifying fact transformed the case from a local tragedy into a sprawling, complex mystery, launching a search for truth against what the family has described as a wall of silence and deception. Before we dive deeper into this chilling mystery, please support what we do here at Secrets in the Shadows. This channel exists to give voice to stories that others would rather forget, and we can't do it without you. So if you believe in shining a light on the truth, hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a case that deserves to be heard. Your support helps us keep telling the stories that matter. Kendrick Johnson, known as KJ to his friends and family, was by all accounts a typical teenager. He was a quiet, well-liked student and a dedicated three-sport athlete who dreamed of one day playing professional football. He was a son, a brother, and a friend with his whole life ahead of him. On January 10th, 2013, he went to school like any other day. He was last seen on surveillance footage walking into the old gym at Lowndes High School shortly after 1 p.m. He never came home. That night, his mother, Jacqueline Johnson, grew increasingly worried. When he didn't return from a basketball game he was supposed to attend, she filed a missing persons report around midnight. The next morning, she went to the high school herself, searching for any sign of her son. The school day began, classes filled up, but there was still no Kendrick. The discovery was made later that day, on January 11th. Students climbing on top of a cluster of large, rolled-up wrestling mats, each standing nearly 6 feet tall, noticed a pair of socks sticking out from the center of one of them. They looked closer and found Kendrick Johnson's lifeless body. He was upside down, head first inside the tightly rolled mat, his face swollen and discolored. The scene was chaotic. School officials and law enforcement from the Lowndes County Sheriff's Office descended on the gym. The Johnson family rushed to the school only to be met with confusion and the beginning of a nightmare that has yet to end. Within 24 hours, the official narrative began to solidify. The Lowndes County Sheriff's Office and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, or GBI, concluded their initial investigation with shocking speed, ruling Kendrick Johnson's death an accident. The theory they presented was that Kendrick had died of positional asphyxia, meaning he suffocated because of the position his body was in. Investigators proposed a simple, yet for many, an unbelievable scenario. It was common for students to store their gym shoes inside the rolled-up mats to avoid paying for a locker. According to the official theory, Kendrick had a pair of shoes at the bottom of one of the mats. They suggested he dove headfirst into the opening, only about 14 inches wide, to retrieve them, got stuck, and couldn't breathe. The GBI's autopsy supported this conclusion, stating there were no signs of foul play. The Lowndes County Sheriff's Office formally closed the case in May 2013. To them, the case was solved. Lieutenant Stride Jones, who led the investigation, stated unequivocally, "We never had credible information that indicated this was anything other than an accident." But for the Johnson family, this explanation wasn't just unsatisfactory, it was impossible. The Johnson family's grief was compounded by a gnawing disbelief. They couldn't accept that their athletic, 5'10" son could have accidentally died in a mat. How could he have gotten stuck so completely that he couldn't call for help? Fueled by these questions, they petitioned the court to exhume their son's body for a second, independent autopsy. What this examination, performed by private pathologist Dr. William R. Anderson in June 2013, revealed would blow the case wide open. Dr. Anderson's findings directly contradicted the GBI report, suggesting possible blunt force trauma to the right side of Kendrick's neck and jaw. While he concluded the death was the result of non-accidental blunt force trauma, all official investigations since have strongly disputed that conclusion and upheld the original ruling of accidental death. But what came next took the case from disturbing to deeply unsettling. During the second autopsy, Dr. Anderson made another discovery, one that has become the most infamous and disturbing detail of the entire case. All of Kendrick Johnson's internal organs, from his brain to his heart, lungs, and liver, were gone. In their place, his body and skull had been stuffed with crumpled up newspaper. The revelation was sickening. "I feel outraged about them stuffing my son's body with newspaper," Jacqueline Johnson told reporters. While the family believed this could indicate tampering, the funeral home claimed the organs were already missing when the body arrived. And investigators ruled that while newspaper use was inappropriate, it wasn't illegal or proof of wrongdoing. This mystery was just one piece of a larger puzzle. The family's legal team began to focus on the school's surveillance footage, but they had to file a legal petition just to get access to it. When they finally did, a forensic video expert hired by CNN noted missing frames and suspicious footage quality. However, the FBI later analyzed the video and concluded there was no direct evidence of tampering, though doubts persist among independent experts. Armed with a conflicting autopsy and questionable evidence, the Johnson family publicly declared their son was murdered and his death was being covered up. In 2013, the U.S. Attorney for the Middle District of Georgia opened a formal federal review of the case. Some community members speculated about two classmates of Kendrick's, Brian and Brandon Bell, whose father worked for the FBI, fueling public theories about a possible cover-up. However, these were unproven suspicions, and both brothers have consistently denied involvement. The Johnsons eventually filed a $100 million wrongful death lawsuit against 38 individuals, including school officials and the Bell brothers, alleging a conspiracy. An official FBI analysis concluded the brothers were in different parts of the school at the time of Kendrick's disappearance. The family's legal battle has been a grueling, decade-long marathon. In 2016, the Department of Justice closed its investigation, announcing there was insufficient evidence to support federal criminal charges. The Johnsons withdrew their lawsuit and were ordered to pay more than $292,000 in legal fees to the people they had accused. Still, they refused to give up. In March 2021, a new Lowndes County Sheriff, Ashley Polk, reopened the case. But after 14 months, that hope was extinguished when he closed it again in 2022, concluding there was no homicide, no cover-up, no conspiracy, calling Kendrick's death a weird accident. When the Johnsons called him a liar, Sheriff Polk personally offered a $500,000 reward from his own money for any information leading to an arrest. The reward has never been claimed. The fight for Kendrick Johnson is far from over. Despite every setback, his parents continue their pursuit of the truth. In 2023, they filed a lawsuit against the GBI and the sheriff's office, alleging a cover-up. More recently, in July 2025, they filed an amended $12 million lawsuit against the Georgia Department of Public Health, demanding that Kendrick's cause of death be changed on his death certificate from accidental to non-accidental blunt force trauma. In February 2025, an appeals court ruled that the dismissal of one of the family's lawsuits should be reconsidered, breathing new life into their legal battle. On the other side, you have a grieving family. They are armed with a private autopsy that points to homicide and are surrounded by a mountain of suspicious circumstances: the missing organs, the body stuffed with newspaper, the questions about surveillance footage, and a wall of conflicting official statements. No one has been criminally charged in connection with Kendrick Johnson's death, and law enforcement agencies maintain it was a tragic accident. The information presented in this video includes publicly reported facts, legal filings, and independent expert opinions. But no definitive criminal conclusion has been reached. Was Kendrick Johnson the victim of a one-in-a-million accident, a young man who tragically became trapped while reaching for a shoe? Or was he the victim of a violent act, a murder that was systematically covered up by powerful people in a small southern town? The official record says one thing, but the unanswered questions scream another. This case is about more than just one boy. It's about the nature of truth and the relentless fight for justice. The mat where Kendrick was found is gone. The school has been rebuilt, but the shadow of his death still looms over Valdosta, a haunting reminder of a story without an end. Kendrick Johnson was more than a headline. He was a son, a friend, and a young man with dreams. And what happened to him still echoes through a community searching for answers. What do you believe really happened inside that gym mat? Was it a tragic accident or something far more sinister? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Your voice keeps this conversation alive. If this story touched you, or if you believe in justice for the unheard, your voice matters. Every like, share, and comment helps keep Kendrick's memory and the unanswered questions alive, because silence helps only those who want the truth to remain buried. Until next time, stay curious, stay aware, And remember, the shadows always hold more than we think. I'll see you in my next video.